Hello, good morning everyone. I'd just like to welcome you all to the session this morning. This is really I suppose a webinar that we have put on especially for our customers who've been using our platform in some way or another. So, you know, some of you will be using it in different ways, but what we really wanted to do was to, I suppose, pass on the information and make you aware of how the Nvolve group are able to help you embrace the whole paperless environment and run your paperless audits and paperless or electronic document sign-off. So that's the focus of our session this morning, and we also are joined by in our session, customers who work within both the training side from the whole document sign-off process, the SOPs and work instructions and that, and also like people joining us today from the technical and quality department, so who may pick up responsibility for documentation sign-off and also the whole process of the process of auditing and managing corrective actions and that. So I'd like to as I say, just again, welcome you all here. My name is Pauline McGrellis. I work as your account manager within the Nvolve group for all our BRC certified clients. So for those of you who I haven't actually had the pleasure in speaking with yet, then no doubt we'll get a chance to do that down the line itself. So just want to touch on a brief agenda. We'll probably take about a half an hour this morning. Want to talk just a wee bit about the Nvolve group and our solutions and how we're able to help the industry itself. We're going to take a wee look at some of the issues that you're all experiencing with paper and get some of the feedback that people constantly give me on a day-to-day basis when I'm talking to them. And we'll look at how we, the Nvolve group, are able to help you embrace that whole paper environment, as I said, and also give you total visibility to areas of exposure when it comes to auditing, you know, whether it be your BRC or your customer audits, and also look at ways as to how we can help you to increase your own compliance levels within your own factory sites and that. We'll do that through a wee bit of a live demonstration that will focus on them key areas, and towards the end of the session we'll also have a questions and answer session as well. But just for anyone who does want to pop any questions in there, in the portal, the GoToWebinar control panel, you've got a couple of wee areas. I've actually included a handout of the slides that I'm using today. We're also making a recording of the session, so you know, if you want that, I'll have a wee questionnaire up at the end where you can request that. But if you do have any questions, you can see in the portal your wee questions section there that you can pop your questions in, and we can pick them up at the end of the webinar. So just to touch a wee bit about the Nvolve group, we've been working now for about 12 years working with different organisations, primarily within the food industry or food related industry, whether it become packaging or storage and distribution as well. We've got a few different solutions that we have developed that actually really help you to manage the whole compliance and risk within your organisation in terms of conformances and that. And training and that. So first of all, we have our group learner platform, which a lot of you will be very familiar with. Some of you may not have seen the platform, you know, as maybe your HR teams are using them, or training teams, and you might belong to a quality department. But you know, essentially our group learner platform is really our paperless compliance and risk management platform in terms of your learning and your training and managing that within the organisation. We have also created a BRC Manager platform as well, which is again the learning and compliance side of Group Learner, but it also incorporates the full quality compliance management for BRC certified industries, and that really incorporates you know, the likes of paperless audits, supplier documentation management, but we'll go into that in a wee bit more detail in a second. We also have our Respond Point solution, which is it's really our group interactive training keypad solution. So what it enables you to do is to actually deliver your own training, induction courses, etc., or maybe internal training that you have actually created through PowerPoint. And with our Respond Point technology, what you can do is to add question slides excuse me, into your PowerPoint presentation so that your trainees can actually do the assessment and you know, the questions at the end of it, just to ensure that obviously they've taken in what it is that you've trained them on. And you can manage that and upload that onto our platform as well, so that you've got all the results and the records down the line as well. We also offer a suite of health and safety and food safety training courses, whether it be level 1 introduction, level 2, or also level 3 for managing HACCP and supervising food safety, and also health and safety. And these courses are all endorsed by the CIEH, or have been endorsed, by the CIEH. And these courses are predefined, ready to go courses that can be run from our platform as e-learning delivery, also from the keypad solution, and we also have the ability to run them from the tablet delivery as well. So 3 different delivery methods there of our courses. Just to touch on some of the companies that we actually work with. These are just a handful of clients that we work with. You may have your own logos in there, some of you that have joined us this morning. But essentially, you know, we work across all food industries, you know, whether it be, as you see there, Moy Park, or poultry providers there. We've currently implemented 4 of our 4 sites with our platform, and looking to work across another 3 there, and starting the discussions for that. Also with CSM Bakery, again, a couple, 2, 3 different sites there, and Hyder Foods, a couple of different sites there. But you know, you'll recognize some of them names into different industries, whether it be poultry, whether it be bakery, whether it be seafood, you know, again into the dairy side of things also. But we just want to take a wee bit of a look at I suppose the current process that you guys I suppose are currently using to manage your whole compliance training. You know, and talking to yourselves, like, I mean, you know, we've really, I suppose, identified that you guys probably deliver 80% of your training, whether it be work instructions, SOPs, or policies, awareness documents, and that, in a paper fashion. And you know, you give the paper to the trainee reads it, you're comfortable that they have understood it, and what you need them then to do is to you know, to sign it off. So typically what we see is that signed off in a paper hard copy, and then what you would do is to go back and update that in our group learner platform itself. Well, we have made some additions to that can actually make that whole process an automated process to help you out in your efforts in managing and increasing your compliance levels there. We also see a very similar process of managing audits and audit schedules and corrective actions, where, you know, again, it's all done on a paper-based system where we go around the factory with our clipboard, and then the output from that is updated onto spreadsheets, and spreadsheets used to manage the actual audit schedules and what has been completed, etc. So very paper-driven within the food industry, and again, with supplier documentation, when you're managing that, you know, we typically have that whole paper process where our customers, we chase them for their HACCP plans, their BRC certificates, etc., certificate of insurance. Just a couple of examples there. All we get is we print them out, and we have them all filed away in filing cabinets, so that they are available to hand when the auditor actually arrives on site and looking for these pieces of information. So yes, we're pushing a lot of paper around. With paper does come a lot of paperwork, so you know, the mountain of paperwork just is constantly growing, and this really these points here in this particular slide is really feedback from people like yourselves who are working within that environment and have identified to us some of the issues that does or that do come with managing paper-based systems themselves. So yeah, a lot of workload in updating spreadsheets and document sign-off and auditing and pushing and handing paper from one area to another. It takes a lot of time to actually update this information onto different spreadsheets. I have a client who, before joining or coming with the Nvolve group and using our platform, they used to have to manage like a training matrix of the procedures, the document procedures. He had 500 procedures that he had to run through. Sorry, 500 staff that he had to run through 200 procedures with. So he was actually managing a spreadsheet of 100,000 cells, which is no mean feat really, or in terms of actually managing that. And all it does, it takes one instance of that not to be updated, or for an interruption whilst you're trying to update something, update a spreadsheet, an interruption, you forget about it, you're called away, you forget about it, you get back to it, and already your information is out of date itself and inaccurate. So and again, what a lot of people tell us is that they've no idea how compliant their sites are in terms of, okay, all the corrective actions that we have, all the training instances that we have, etc. How are we doing? How do we measure against what we have outstanding, etc. So through the whole platform itself, we're now able to give you visibility as to not only your compliance levels, but where your areas of exposure are, in terms of if an auditor was to arrive on site and do an unannounced audit, essentially where you would have your non-conformances. So, full visibility at the touch of a button there really is essentially where we're going with this. So that allows you to also run your simple reports, again giving that visibility. Chasing suppliers, through our supplier documentation control there, we're able to set up your supplier sites. We're able to actually assign the documents that you require, so all the document requirements there that you have from suppliers, assign them to the suppliers. Again, make that whole process automated, where as you assign them, they get an email to say that you need this particular document from them, and then they can upload it onto their area of the platform alone. So, again, this is some of the really clever automated stuff that we're able to now actually help you with, so that you're not spending loads and loads of time chasing and updating information. And what we find, and we've been told a lot nowadays as well, is that people are actually spending so long preparing for their BRC audits. So because they're not unannounced, we get the date, and we may spend 4 or 5 weeks preparing for that audit. But what our clients are now looking for us to prove to them is that we're living and breathing compliance on a daily basis. So our culture of food safety and health and safety within our organization that that we push down to our employees is really been, as I say, lived and breathed on a daily basis, and this is really what our culture is all about. So they're actually trying to push us now, and a lot more people are being pushed down the unannounced routes. So again, living and breathing compliance and health and safety and food safety on a daily basis, and also that you're able to find evidence of this culture within your organization by having all your paperwork or your evidence available in electronic format, so the paperwork can't go missing when an auditor is on site and looking for evidence of that. So again, that's one of the key things that people talk to us about, is how they can never find the information when an auditor's on site because somebody's maybe taken it out and moved it and put it somewhere else. So that's what we really aim to address today, is how we can help you move to that paperless environment and really push down them areas of exposure and increase your compliance levels and reduce the whole risk that you have associated to auditing and compliance itself. So how we do this is by way of our BRC Manager Platform. And again, like your Group Learner account, this is all done via your online account. Within your Group Learner, we currently have access to setting up training plans, managing your documentation, the ability to run our ready-to-go courses, and have your automated training matrix available within that as well, so that there's no need to go updating Excel, so we remove that whole need for Excel itself. Well, we have a similar process in terms of our auditing. We're able to now set up audit templates within the BRC application, have our audit schedules where we're actually setting up reoccurrences of audits itself, manage our corrective actions, and have photographic evidence there. And we'll show you a wee bit of more about that in the demonstration to follow. But as I talked about, managing your supplier documentation with automated email follow-ups and that. And also we have incorporated your BRC self-assessments. They are already preloaded onto the BRC Manager Platform. And also for anyone wanting to do vulnerability assessments, we have that set up within the platform as well, for preloaded within the platform. So to support the platform and to really push out that whole paperless environment, essentially what we see is the use of tablets, whether it be iPads or Android tablets, that allows you you and your team, your managers, to gain access via the tablet to a full training matrix where they have, let's say, responsibility for a team of individuals, and their employees or the staff. So I, as a manager, can get access to that information, and I can do on-the-spot training. If a piece of machinery has actually broke down and the production line has come to a bit of a standstill, then, you know, for them small pieces of documents, they can on the spot read the documents. The staff can read the documents and sign them off electronically, and that's all automated, automatically uploaded onto the platform. We're very much aware that factory environments don't actually have a wireless enabled you know, factory throughout the whole of the factory. So what we do is we bring that down onto the tablet device. We store it on the tablet device, the documentation or the courses for a 24-hour period. You can then train anybody in them documents for that amount of time, and then it's uploaded onto the platform when you get back onto a Wi-Fi enabled area. It's synced in the Wi-Fi area. So again, it gives us all the ability to have the access to documentation like in a mobile environment. You're actually able to you know, promote that whole remote learning offline with the paperless sign-off and photographic evidence, you know, in terms of your corrective actions, and do complete your paperless audits and that. So that's what we're going to take a wee look at, is that how we actually do that within the BRC self-assessment. So what I'm going to do is have a look at the platform first of all, where we will look at all the areas of document control, audit management, our audit templates, and corrective actions and supplier control. But with the help of the tablet, I can't show you the tablet in this particular environment or forum. So what I have is use of screenshots that I will use through that part of the demonstration itself. So I'm just going to pop out of here and log back on, because I'm in a timeout session here, so no doubt it won't let me back in again. So I'm just going to pop onto my master demo there, into this particular account. Now the platform will be recognizable to some of you, but for other people who maybe are using the learning management side and are in a quality and technical area, well, essentially the platform, just to explain it, is sectioned out into different areas. We call these tabs, but if you essentially just think of them as filing cabinets of information that it's like electronic filing cabinets that actually house information about the different areas here. So first of all, we're just going to pop into the document manager, and I'll come back to the dashboards in a second. But our document manager is essentially where we set up all our documents, which can then be signed off on the tablet. So I'm just going to take a copy of one of these documents here, or look at a sample here. We can see the SOP, the operation of the BCH kettle there. I'm just opening the document detail here, there. And what we do is we set up the documents, and we can put them into groups. So the groups as well, you know, these are definable by yourselves, whether it be SOPs, work instructions, checklists, whatever you want to name them, and then we give the document a title. We stipulate what revision of the document that it is when we're creating it, and a created date here. We can also define the average training period of the document itself, again definable by yourselves, because nowadays auditors are looking for you guys to prove and to show the you know, the average training hours that you spend on each individual employee. So this is a way that you're able to then get a full picture as to the hours that each member of staff has had in training. We apply a grace period to the document, and this is just a reasonable amount of time that you give to that, both the manager, I suppose, essentially, and to that employee to have that piece of documentation signed off. If it pops outside of that time, then it starts to you know, be included into your compliance levels and non-compliance rates. The validity period of the document and the review period. Well, okay, how long is this piece of training valid for? Again, stipulated by yourself, and the review period, when do I next need to review it? Because as these dates do come up within the platform, then you're actually flagged, and you know, you're able to report on anything coming up within its review period itself, or that has expired. So that is why we set that all up, to make that whole management process easy for yourself. We also have an approval process within the platform, so you can assign an approver for the document, and then they approve that and send the document live. But our supporting files will actually give you the detail of the file or the document. This is just a copy of the document, and this is the work instruction here, the SOP here, that gives us the information for that. So that's a piece of information on a document there. We can also assign a document to a work group. So we set up our work groups, we assign the document to the work group, so that any individual within that work group, we would then assign employees to work groups, so that if any individual within that work group, then they automatically have that document assigned to them, so that we don't need to go in and update individual records. There is a streamlining process that we have built within the platform itself. So there's the approval. We can assign the approvers, and also any previous version of the document that we actually have there. So that is where we house the document. We can up-revise the document if we want to. This document has actually been up-revised and is waiting to be, it's in pending process here. So what we can do is say okay to that. But what I can do is just up-revise the document itself, and I can select you know, another piece of document that we actually have within our storage area there, and just link that as the next revision of the document itself. So I'm just going to close out of that. I'm very conscious, obviously, of the time moving forward. So into Audit Manager, just want to quickly touch on the Audit Manager. Like our Learning Manager, we have the dashboard that actually shows the outstanding corrective actions in terms of the total outstanding. So we can see there from a high profile perspective, or from your risk profile, we've got 25 high corrective actions there, high profile corrective actions, 14 medium, and 2 low there. What we're able to see is the audit template summary here. So we can see our audits going down the side. We can see that we've got a pest control audit there, that we have done 6 pest control audits, and we can also see when the last audit date had actually occurred. Our outstanding corrective actions by assignee. This is one of the key things that people talk to us about, is how, you know, from a maintenance perspective, or even from suppliers picking up on corrective actions, how they want to be able to, let's say, have the different areas take accountability for their corrective actions, so that they can manage them through their own process, rather than us having to chase them down and make sure that they have actually completed them. So this allows us to see who the corrective actions have been assigned to and the volume of corrective actions assigned to that individual or that different department there. So what we also have is the corrective actions table identifying how long that the corrective actions have actually been outstanding for. So this is in days itself. So that gives us a brief snapshot. What it also allows us to do is set up all our internal audit templates here. So what we have, we can see the list of audits, whether there be internal audits or your own BRC self-assessments, then we have that down the list here as well. But you know, we've set up the audits. What we're able to do is give the audit a bit of a description, the audit template name, the number of statements that is incorporated within that particular audit. So if I look at the audit here with the 19 statements, we set them up within the platform, and we can also import questions from an Excel spreadsheet that we have the audits or the statements for that audit you know, included in currently in our own operating process at the minute, or we can just add a new statement, a random ad hoc statement if we want to as well. So again, you know, pretty flexible in that whole process itself. I'm going to show you a wee bit in a second how we do that and how we conclude the audits within the platform or within the tablet. But again, you know, we can see here a different list of items, you know, whether it be your corrective actions. I do apologize, guys. I had a bit of an issue with my my internet this morning, so I was hoping that I would get through the session without getting to this stage. But yeah, here we can see a list of the corrective actions. If you just bear with me if I've got a wee bit of a lag in the internet here. But yeah, a list of all the corrective actions that we have here. We can see that we've got ones open, we've got ones closed here, so you know, the date of when they've been corrected, who they've been assigned to, etc., and the description of that. Of course, a corrective action, you know, you don't have to have a corrective action created via the tablet. We have the ability to actually create a new corrective action just through the platform as well. So this may be something that as you're walking throughout the factory and have identified that there's you know, something needs done or a corrective action that needs to happen, then we can also do that ad hocly as well within the platform itself. So okay, what I want to do now is just to pop back to my I was going to pop in, I've just realized that I didn't talk about the supplier documentation, but this is the supplier side where we set up all our suppliers, and this gives me a list of our suppliers that we actually work with. And if I just pop into the, let's say, the baker's oven there, what I can do is actually have a look at the detail that comes with that. I can see that I have a little bit of information there set up, the supplier risk profile there, their risk level itself, and what I can also look at is the details of the documentation that I have and what my requirements are there from this supplier, so that what I can do then is I can get the supplier to upload this themselves. So you're putting the workload back to the supplier again to upload this information and to provide you with that information. And when they have done, what I can see then is I can go in and view their HACCP plan or the BRC certificate. I can actually see there, well, this is a different document attached there, but that's just my fault. But what I can also just see there is the you know, the documentation. I can download that and have that available to me. So in this case now, what I'm going to do is pop back into my slides, and I'm very, as I say, conscious of time here. So I just want to give you a wee quick view of our tablet apps and how they look. This is the BRC Manager tablet application, so it incorporates our Audit Manager, Learning Manager, Document Manager, and Performance Manager. What I am doing now is I am a manager who is on the floor, who I want to take a member of staff through the reading of a document and signing that off electronically. So what I would have there is I go into my Learning Manager app and into the training plans. This is a list of all the employees that I am responsible for and accountable for seeing them through their whole training record and completing their training plan and making them as compliant as possible. So here we can see the list of my employees, the employee ID, the number of training procedures that are associated to and have been linked to that employee and what they need to conclude, the number that they have completed, the number that is still outstanding, and the overall percentage that of that employee, how compliant that employee is. Again, I can go into their training record and select one of them documents, and what I can see here is where we can complete the electronic sign-off. So the employee actually signs once they have read the document. The manager also signs it as well, and you will always have the document associated to the sign-off of that. So what document that he has been trained on. And of course, because you have the ability to up-revise the document to make sure that every employee is actually trained on the latest version of the document itself. This is just how our courses actually look on the platform. So again, they can run through that and complete our courses on the platform. I think we've lost a wee bit of the audio here, so apologies. Let me just, now that may be the internet connection, but I will carry on anyhow. But yeah, this is the courses that we have got. Now, this is the tablet device from an auditing perspective, so for all you technical and quality personnel out there, what we have in the apps itself, we have access to our audit templates, our audit schedule, our corrective actions, and our BRC self-assessments, and also a goods inward audit there as well. Just to take us into the audit schedule, here we can see a list of all the audits that we have scheduled. We can see what has been completed. We can see the scheduled date, the completed date, the corrective action count for each audit, what has been completed and what is underway. As we all know, some audits do actually, and can take a few days, so they may not happen on the same day. So that gives us visibility to that. And again, if I'm to pick up on an audit, let's say the pest control audit that started back in the start of August there, I can just select that one and carry on where I left off. So, pretty easy and pretty seamless in its process there. This is an internal audit, or a list of the internal audit templates. We see the statement counts from each of the audits, and this is where what we do, we see the audit. So this is, if you can imagine yourself halfway through an audit, this is our health and safety audit. I'm in section 4 of the health and safety audit, and I'm actually addressing and answering the statement here. What I can do is I can mark that it's either compliant or non-compliant or not applicable. I can also put notes into the statement here, and I can actually capture photographic evidence here as to what the non-conformance is if we are non-compliant in this particular area. I can create a corrective action. I can stipulate what section that the non-conformance is. There will be a unique identifier attached to that or associated to that, and we can put details of the corrective action that is required. We can assign a risk profile to it, and here we have actually got the example of a corrective action. So the section was in the open warehouse. There was a bulb that wasn't working, so they needed to replace the bulb. It was a medium risk. It was assigned to me, myself, and this is a unique identifier. So what I can now do is to close that corrective action. Once I have completed it, I have replaced, the maintenance has replaced the bulb, and here we can actually see, okay, the details of the corrective action and the root cause analysis, so, and when that was that corrective action was actually closed down. So that really takes us through the, I suppose, the tablet, how we manage manage the document sign off from an SOP work instruction process, and show you how electronic sign off can actually happen through our tablet apps, and also the audit process and how we can manage that whole process. This is our BRC self-assessments on the tablet and all the different sections that we have there, the templates that we have, and the statement count again, like our audits. And this again, very, very similar. We keep consistency in the process that we use. So what we have is the audit review there in the BRC standard issue 7 there, section 7, and again we work through that whole process. So that just shows you how the BRC self-assessments work. On a monthly basis, and I know some of you will have had this from myself, as part of the service that we offer back to you, we also give you, and you know, our whole working approach is really to help you. I mean, we're as eager for your compliance levels to increase, and within the dashboard itself, for it constantly to be up at the high green level. So you know, we produce you with a report on the first of every month, the first working day of every month, that really gives you the, I suppose, a report, a high-level management report as to the areas that you are exposed. Now, this one here is the employee training risk analysis here, so we can see, okay, what has been completed, what has not been completed, and the managers with the most non-compliance charts here. So we can see, okay, Brian James there, he's got 160 areas that, you know, again, are exposed in terms of an auditor arriving on site in terms of our compliance training. So again, giving you full visibility as to your exposed areas in terms of your compliance training, and also in terms of your non-conformances when it comes to auditing. So here we have the quality and technical risk analysis here, showing the outstanding corrective actions by assignee and bulking them into their risk profile here in the pie chart above. So again, some good management reports here, and this is the monthly corrective actions report by status. We see, okay, all the audits that I have actually done, how many corrective actions have come from that, and when they were completed. So that really, I suppose, takes us to the conclusion of the session. All that really, I suppose now, I'm just looking at some of the questions that we have here. Stephen, you're asking about the implementation and how you can start to achieve this with your group learner platform. All really that needs to happen, Stephen, is that you get yourself a tablet. We would then download the apps onto, or help you to download the apps onto the tablet, or the tablets that you would use. Depending on the number of licenses that you would have, would need to have a look at that as well, because for every additional license that you would be using on the tablet, there is a fee for that, and that fee is £495 for additional users of the tablet itself, you know, or that's €695 for all our Irish and European customers logged on today. So, you know, we can just pick that up off online anyway, but it just to give a little bit of information on that. Sarah, you're asking about how long does the BRC Manager actually take to implement. We provide you guys with a lot of the templates that we can quickly upload a lot of your information on there, whether it be all your employees and all the training that they have completed, what they have left to do, all your documents, your titles, your processes or your procedures. You know, again, we work with you to get that information up onto your platform as quickly as possible. So it really is dependent on yourself. You know, just putting that information in, but you know, as soon as you get that back, you know, that's uploaded in the click of a button, and you know, we've seen people like up and ready to run, like, I mean, with 1 to 2 weeks there. So hopefully that'll have answered that for yourself. Now, I am conscious of the time, guys. I have run over a wee bit here, so apologies about that. Hopefully you'll have found the session useful this morning. For anyone that wants to, let's say, look further at the end of the at the end of the webinar, there'll be a wee pop-up box just to, ask you a wee questionnaire about, further information that you might want, etc. And that'll pop in your email as well, we do hope. But for anyone interested in any up-and-coming webinars that we will have a very similar process that will actually incorporate the whole of the learning management, the group learner and the BRC manager side of things, coming up on Wednesday the 22nd of February, so a similar a webinar today but incorporating a bit more. And so if you want to pass that out to any of your colleagues, that's grand, not a problem at all. Our website is there where they can register themselves. But all that's left for me to say is thanks for listening. As I say, I hope you enjoyed the session. Please do feel free to request the recording at the end of the session. So yeah, if you could fill that wee questionnaire in for us, that would be great, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next webinar if you are interested in it. Okay guys, thanks a lot now. Take care and have a good day. Bye bye.